The NFL draft is just over a week away, and I've been doing a series where I've been going over the top prospects at every position in this upcoming draft. I've already done 7 videos on this topic, and now we're going through offense. I've already completed offensive line, so you could check those videos out. However, today we are doing tight ends. This is going to be an interesting position group because while I don't believe it has many high-end players, it has a lot of solid players that will likely fit your tight end 2 needs. But let's go ahead and get into my rating system. In this list, you're going to see a lot of rotational starters. There is not many high-end tight ends in my opinion, but there's a lot of solid guys that I think could be reliable backups, maybe develop into starters. But let's go ahead and get into it. My number 1 tight end in this draft is Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon. Now this guy is the most athletic tight end in this class, and he's one of the best receivers in this class. Period. He's not only a great tight end, he's a great receiver as well. In the combine, he had ridiculous testing. He broke the tight end 40 time by a wide margin by running a 4.39. Regularly shows up on tape, 4.39 speed. He has elite speed. And his explosiveness is also incredibly elite. He had a 43.5-inch of vertical. That's ridiculous from any position. And he had an 11-foot broad jump, which is mad impressive. And his athleticism shows up on tape regularly, like clearly a lot of times. He looks like the fastest guy on the field. He moves incredibly well in space. He's got fluid hips, and as a receiver, he's got very strong hands. He catches very well in traffic, and he tracks the ball very well. And his body control to get over those weird passes, legitimately excellent. Look, this guy is an absolute athletic freak. He's one of the best athletes, period. And while he's more receiver than just overall tight end, his blocking ability is adequate. I would say he gives a willingness to block. He has some good blocking reps on tape. Now, he's never going to be a blocking tight end. That's just not his niche. And to be honest, that's not how you should really use him. You should use him as a receiver because that's what he's elite at. Blocking, he will do a good enough job. When I was watching his blocking on tape, I wasn't terribly upset, but I wasn't all that impressed either. He can definitely improve his blocking ability with his technique, but overall, I don't think it'll be a strong part of his game. And he's rather undersized as a tight end, 6'3", 241, 31-inch arms. Not ideal size by any means, but he's a great athlete. To be honest, it's whatever. There are much bigger tight ends in this draft, so if you want size, you should wait until day 2. But day 1, this guy is an absolute freak athlete that should be an immediate contributor for your team. My number 2 tight end in this draft is Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. This guy is one of the best receiving tight ends in this class. Probably as good, if not even slightly better than Kenyon Sadiq. I mean, Stowers is an elite athlete in his own right. He has an elite 40 time for a tight end of 4.51. Now, it wouldn't be the most impressive time as a receiver, but this guy is 6'4", 239. This dude is big and lanky. That is very impressive for a tight end. He moves extremely well in space. And how I was harping on about Sadiq's vertical, yeah, this guy's vertical is 45.5 inches. Yeah, this guy is a legitimately great athlete as well. And as a receiver, he's also excellent. He covers ground extremely quickly, of course, by his great speed. He tracks the ball extremely well. He's got strong hands, and he's a good route runner too. I mean, as a pure receiver, he's very solid. And to be honest, if you're going to evaluate him, you should evaluate him more as a receiver rather than just as a traditional tight end, because as a traditional tight end, no, like his blocking ability is pretty much non-existent. That's why he's number 2 and not number 1 for me, because he has 0 blocking ability. His blocking tape was not good, and it probably will never be good. I would be surprised if it's even average, to be honest. Like, he doesn't have the build for that. He's very light. And physical coverage could be a slight problem with his weight, but to be honest, I would not ask him to add much weight because it would sacrifice his speed, which is his best weapon. And I think you should utilize that part of his game rather than trying to stick him into a circle hole with a square peg. I think this guy is a very solid target early day 2 and should make any team happy with his receiving ability. Now at this point, anybody's tight end list can look very different from each other. You could have guys that are completely off one guy's list be top 5 on another guy's list, and players will be all over the place, as you will see with my list. If you watch other tight end lists, mine is going to be pretty different because of what I value. I like a good receiving tight end, but I do value tight ends that can do all phases of the game. And I do like athletic tight ends. Which brings me to my number 3 guy, Joe Royer from Cincinnati. This guy is a good receiving tight end and a good athlete as well. He shows exceptional body control and spatial awareness, and he has great hands. And he's very strong in contested catches situations, which of a guy that is 6'5", I would hope he would be. He's got great football intelligence and is a solid route runner in his own right. Now, the thing with Joe Royer is he's a little bit raw. He's still got a lot of areas in his game to clean up. His blocking ability needs some work. It's not that I think he can't block, it's just it can get sloppy at times. His hand technique isn't great. It's not consistent at all times. His hands can get wide, which leaves him vulnerable to penalties if he grabs on for too long. Plus, he does have a little bit of a fumble issue, which is not ideal for any receiver. And while his route running is good, there's still work to be done. His breaks and his routes, they can be rounded off, which can allow DBs to get back into position and contest the ball. While he's good at contested catches, you don't want to put that kind of stress on your quarterback constantly. You miss the throw slightly and boom, it's picked. But I do believe there is something great in Joe Royer, and it's why he's honestly my last solid starter rating for tight end. Even though there are some good tight ends here, I'm just not all that high on most of them. But I do think Joe Royer can be a solid prospect that people are sleeping on. My number 4 tight end in this class is Jack Andres from Texas. This guy is a solid all-around tight end. He does pretty much everything pretty solidly. He's got a solid athletic profile. It's not going to wow you, but it's nothing to really scoff at. He's got good speed, good explosiveness, good overall everything. Now his lateral movement isn't ideal, but I do think he's got a good overall profile, and his selling trait is he literally does not drop anything. His hands are sure-handed. You throw anything his way, he's probably catching it. And even in contested catches situations, he's coming down with it. Plus, he plays through contact very well. He's a very physical tight end, and he's a solid blocker overall. So far, he's probably the best blocking tight end on this list that I've talked about so far. Now, he's not the best blocking tight end that will be on this list, but he's a very solid guy. And in my opinion, he will be a solid, dependable target at tight end. I don't think he will ever be a true number 1 tight end that will wow you in stats, but I think he will be a dependable hard worker. But let's get into the downsides because he still has some. Now, while he's good at blocking, he doesn't quite have the anchor to be a true pass blocker. He's a little bit undersized at 245, which, yeah, he's going to get walked back by literally any edge 20 pounds heavier than him. And while his route running is good, there's still room to grow as he rounds his breaks quite often. And in terms of yak, while I did mention his lateral movement, he's not great at that. He doesn't really make people miss. And when it comes to after the catch, even if he's wide open, he's probably not getting all that far because he's got good athleticism. He's not going to take a ball 80 yards down the field. But he does a little bit of everything, and that has definite value in this league. And there are a few tight ends in this draft that do a little bit of everything that are quite at this guy's level. So that's why I have him in my top 5. My number 5 tight end in this class is Michael Trigg from Baylor. Now this guy makes those wow catches. He is a great athlete, but his strong point is receiving. He's got an absolutely massive wingspan. His wingspan is 84 inches. That is ridiculous for any position. And he uses that length extremely well when it comes to high pointing those catches. Just look him up on YouTube and you will see those highlight one-handed toe drag swags on the sideline. He will just go up and get a way overthrown ball and miraculously come down with it. His acrobatic catches are legitimately amazing. And he's got good contact balance, so he works through contact very well, and he's a legitimate vertical threat. Now, the reason why I don't have him rated all that high is, well, overall, he's okay as a receiver. The routine catches are kind of a problem. He has a lot of concentration drops that showed up on tape, and I feel like that holds him back a lot. He makes the hard catches. Sometimes he will just drop a slant on a third down and that will end the drive. And it can be frustrating to watch at times. Despite his catch radius and despite his size, he does not win that many 50-50s. And he is light for a tight end, and he can get knocked off his routes, which messes with the timing of the quarterback, which is pretty annoying. And when it comes to blocking, no, he's got none of that. He's basically Eli Stowers level blocking. It's pretty bad, and there's a reason why Baylor took him off the field a lot of times when it came to run plays. He was really only a receiver, and I wouldn't say he's the best receiving tight end in this class. But he makes those wild plays, so he's going to find playing time in the league. For me, he's kind of like an Isaiah Likely type tight end. He will make a wow play every couple weeks and make you think he's got that potential to be that one tight end. And then he never really turns out to be that guy. I mean, I guess Isaiah Likely's got a chance to be a number one tight end with the Giants. I don't think he will succeed, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think Michael Trigg is basically just Isaiah Likely. And there's value in that, but I would not expect a superstar. My number 6 tight end in this class is Dallin Bentley from Utah. This guy does everything solidly. This is another guy that I think would be a very solid tight end too. He's got extremely reliable hands, literally doesn't drop anything. He's a solid overall route runner. He tracks the ball well. He's got great body control, so he can adjust to those off-thrown balls. And he's got very solid contact balance, so he's able to make something happen after the catch. And he's got solid overall size, 6'4", 253. He might be the heaviest tight end I've talked about so far. And his length is solid, it's nothing special, but it's plenty good enough for the position. And he's a good blocker overall. His pass blocking was actually really impressive. On 47 pass blocking attempts, he allowed a single pressure. That is impressive for a tight end. Well, it is a small sample size, 47 is not that much, but it shows he's got good pass blocking ability. His run blocking ability is also serviceable. He's a good lead blocker. Now, there's still some work to be done. His technique is still somewhat inconsistent, but there's something there. And I don't really see all that high of a ceiling for him, but I do think he can be a very good tight end too, maybe develop into a low-end starter, but we'll see. He's really only had one good year of production, and that makes you wonder if last year was just a one-off or if this is just a sign of what's yet to come. We'll see what happens in the NFL, but I do think whoever drafts him will get a very solid tight end prospect. My number 7 tight end in this class is Eli Raridon from Notre Dame. This guy is a surprisingly good blocker. Now, you'd think with his profile he'd be more of a receiver, and he is a solid receiver at that. He's got massive size, he has solid receiving production, and was a reliable safety blanket. He tore apart zone coverage in college and was constantly finding open spots in zone. And he's a legitimate vertical threat. There was a couple times on tape where I saw him getting deep and getting open too, so he's a guy that safeties should respect. And as a blocker, he's got legitimate strength. He's got a very strong grip strength, which is surprising for a guy his profile, and he brings a lot of physicality as a blocker. Again, you wouldn't expect a guy this thin to be able to move defensive linemen, and he sometimes does. Now, it's not all that consistent, and his anchor I wouldn't say is that amazing, but he can do it. Now, there are some serious problems. He doesn't make all that much happen after the catch if he's contacted. He doesn't have great change of direction. His blocking technique can still use some work, and like I mentioned, he has a light frame, so he would definitely need to pack on some weight. He's got good athleticism, but I wouldn't say it's a selling point. However, the major red flag with Raridon is he's got 2 torn ACLs on the same knee, so that is a bit of a concern. However, the reason why I have him rated fairly high is because his blocking ability is legitimately very good, and he's got receiving upside. He also doesn't have any red zone touchdowns for some reason. That was a weird part of his profile. Dude's 6'6", great arm length, and he had no red zone production. That's something to look into, but I do think he can be a good red zone target if he can put on like 10, 15 pounds, and that would make him a more reliable blocker. I would say my projection would be based on him putting on a little bit more weight. If he doesn't, I don't really see a great role for him, but I think if he puts on that weight, he can be a very solid tight end in this league. My number 8 tight end in this class is Tanner Koizle from Houston. This guy is yet another receiving tight end, and a very good one at that. He's a very strong overall receiver and he's got great production. Probably had one of the most productive seasons of any tight end in this draft. He's got great catch radius at 6'6". Like, this dude is very tall. As a receiver, he's got good overall athleticism. He's got solid speed. It's not special, but solid enough. And he seemed a little bit faster on tape than his 40 suggested. He's a strong receiver through contact and gets a lot of contested catches, which, for a guy of his size, he should. He ran a great route tree at Houston, so that shows some good development as a receiver. And he's got sure hands. Rarely did I see any drops. To be honest, I don't even think I saw him drop a pass. I think he can be a very good receiving threat for any team that drafts him. And I think he would be fantastic value on day 3 if you are looking for a receiving tight end. When it comes to blocking, again, with a lot of these receiver first tight ends, not particularly great. It was serviceable at times, but he wasn't used a lot as a blocker, and that kind of shows. Even when he was a blocker, he was pushed back relatively frequently. He's got 0 anchors, so do not expect him to be a traditional Y tight end. And with his mass being fairly light, he can be knocked off routes, but he does play through contact very well. I think this is less of a problem than some other tight ends in this class. He's not really a 3-down guy, but in passing situations and as a red zone target, he would be excellent. My number 9 tight end in this class is Sam Roush from Stanford. This guy is one of the best blocking tight ends in this class. That is his calling card. His blocking ability, I wouldn't say is second to none, but is among the best. And he is a legitimately good athlete. His vertical numbers are very good. They are top of the class. He had a 38.5-inch vertical, which is 96th percentile, and he had a 126-inch broad jump, which is also 96th percentile. Plus, he's got good overall, change of direction. His bench was very solid with 25 reps. His speed is average, and that was pretty plainly obvious to see on tape, but he's also got good size. Now, legitimately, this guy's probably the heaviest tight end I've talked about so far at 6'6", 267, and his blocking ability does show that he uses that weight very well. He's got a solid anchor and is a good run blocker. Now, the reason why I have him pretty low on my top 10 list, as a receiver, he's not good. Right now, he's not very good. His route running is not polished at all. He rounds his breaks. He doesn't really generate all that much separation. And when it comes to tracking the football, he's not good. So that makes him an unreliable deep threat, not like his speed would allow for it. And then when it comes to actually catching the football, he drops a lot of passes. So he's a pretty unreliable receiver, but I do think most teams, when they draft him, they're going to use him for his blocking utility. There's value in that. Just in my opinion, it's day 3 value. And my number 10 tight end on this list is Max Clare from Ohio State. This guy is solid. I'm not going to say I was all that impressed with him. Some people may end up having him a lot higher than he is right here, but he's not really that great of an athlete. He's got average speed. Now he's got very good fluidity, and that showed up in his route running, and he was a reliable safety blanket at Ohio State. He reads zone coverage extremely well, he hits those soft spots in zone frequently, and he did show growth as a blocker, so there's something there. However, I wouldn't say he's particularly great at any of it. His receiving ability was average. It wasn't terrible, but it didn't really wow me to really put him up any higher when all these other tight ends had an ability that really wowed me, or they were extremely solid across the board. And while I will say his route running is good, nothing else really wowed me. His blocking was okay. It wasn't all that impressive. He showed willingness to block, but his technique overall still needs improvement. And he's also light as a tight end. Now, there are other light tight ends in this draft, but at least they had great upside as a receiver. Claire, in my opinion, doesn't have that much upside as a receiver. And when it comes to catching the ball, it's not amazing. Average at best, and he struggled at Purdue, so would that potentially pop back up? Who knows? But I do think he's versatile, and I think he can be a solid number 2 option. I just worry teams may overdraft him. To me, he's a day 3 type of player. But what do you guys think of my list? Do you think there should have been other tight ends I included on this list? Let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and sub. It's greatly appreciated and lets me know you guys enjoy these videos. Anyways, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.